that we get to see the pre-Broadway shows before they go to New York. And with us today on Good Day is Morton Gottlieb, who is one of the most successful Broadway producers ever, and he's going to launch another major new Broadway play this fall, October 12th, right here in Boston, right here at the Colonial Theater.
Well, thank you very much.
Welcome, Morton.
It's wonderful being back in Boston. You know, this I always consider my home away from home. As a matter of fact, I'm a New Yorker, and there's only one city in the world that I wouldn't mind living in other than New York.
Well,
that's here in Boston.
You've been so loyal to Boston in terms of bringing tryouts here.
Well, I love doing plays right here at the Colonial Theater, which I think is the most beautiful theater in America.
Oh, it is.
And I've had very good fortune here. And we broke the house record here at the Colonial each time, so I'm hoping we can break the house record again with romantic comedy.
Romantic comedy starring Mia Farrow and Anthony Perkins.
That's right.
Are they pretty big box office?
Well, they are, and especially the combination. The combination of Bernard Slade, Anthony Perkins, Mia Farrow is like 1 + 1 = 5.
Really?
1 + 1 + 1 = 5.
Are they working well together?
Well, we go into rehearsal momentarily. Well, and so far they've known each other. They've all known each other before.
And a good friend of mine, we were just talking, Deborah Meister, is in the show.
That's right. Yes, she plays a Hollywood actress who comes in and breaks up their relationship.
Oh, gee.
And we have Greg Malavy, whom you know is Mary Hartman's husband, and Mary
Right.
Hartman, and Holly Palance, a wonderful young actress who's the daughter of Jack Palance. But Carol Cook, whom you probably know from the Merv Griffin Show and many, many other shows and Broadway shows too, is playing Anthony Perkins' agent in it. And she's glib and wonderful, and I love her too.
Well, you're no stranger to big names, because you mentioned Jack Lemmon's tribute, and it opened in this very theater to rave reviews,
yes,
and went on to New York.
And Ellen Burstyn at the same time, and many, many other plays I've done here. I'm starstruck, and I always have been since I was a child, and I just love being around big stars and superstars. And I used to be a press agent way, way back, and was the press agent for Gertrude Lawrence, remember, who was in The King and I and all the Noel Coward shows, and she's the one who got me into the theater. Well, I always wanted to be in the theater, but as her press agent, she pushed me into it. And I started knowing her, and subsequently worked with people like John Gielgud and Vivian Leigh, and Olivier 4 times, and Robert Morley, and Ingrid Bergman, and Audrey Hepburn. As a matter of fact, when I was Gilbert Miller's general manager, he was planning to do a play. This is back in 1951, a play called Gigi. And we hired this unknown English girl named Audrey Hepburn, and he was always a little doubtful about her, and he used to call her Gottlieb's Folly. And he used to say, you made me bring over that thin little English girl, what's her name, Audrey Hepburn. And then she became a star overnight in Gigi, and hasn't stopped. But I am starstruck, and I love being around big stars.
Do you think that the combination of you and Bernard Slade and stars, good names and good box office, do you think that's the secret? Because you have such a success.
I really don't know what the secret is, but it's very flattering of you to say that. Well, Bernard Slade is a marvelous, talented, witty, funny writer. And this play, romantic comedy, is kind of a reflection of the movies of Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn, Irene Dunn, Cary Grant, Jean Arthur, Melvyn Douglas.
Wonderful.
It's a kind of hymn to and tribute to those romantic comedies. And it's in the style of John Van Druten, who wrote Voice of the Turtle and many others, or Philip Barry wrote Philadelphia Story. And Slade has that kind of wit and charm and love of his people. And he makes a comment at the same time. This is a very contemporary play with people, one of whom, the Anthony Perkins part, lives in a kind of reflection of past stylishness. And it is very witty, and it is stylish, and it is fun, and it is happy, and it does make a few points about behavior today.
Well, theatergoers say, when I go to the theater, I want my emotions tugged and touched. Do you agree with that?
Oh, sure.
No matter what?
That was the wonderful thing about tribute. Jack Lemmon could make you laugh and cry in the same sentence. And Ellen Burstyn and Chuck Grodin, when they were here in the same time next year, or Ellen, when she did the movie, could make you laugh and cry at the same moment. And I think that's what the theater is about. I also think the theater should tell a story. It should be about characters in conflict and action and reaction and reaching a certain point. And you'll find that romantic comedy does that. That these two people who are on, as Bernard Slade says, they are the victims of unsynchronized passion. The characters they play, that Perkins and Farrow play, are never able to be in love with each other at the same time. He gets married the day the play starts, you see, and meets her, and then they start working together, and then he gets a divorce at the point that she's marrying somebody else. So
there was the
it's a
same
fascinating
frustration
story.
and same time next year,
That's
right?
right.
The same kind of thing.
They can never get together properly.
What about inflation hitting the theater? I mean, are the costs just prohibitive today?
Well, the costs have always been prohibitive. I mean, I remember when I was aiming to get into show business, get into the theater, and everybody was saying, oh my God, the tickets are so costly and the cost of doing productions are so great. Well, naturally, they were a lot cheaper then than they are now, just in terms of dollars, but it is very, very expensive to do a play these days. Romantic comedy is being capitalized, so to speak, for $400,000, and it's a one set, granted a lush, very expensive-looking one set that undergoes some changes because the play covers 13 years. But in the long run, I don't think that the cost of tickets, for example, has gone up as much as anything else in our lives these days. I did a kind of piece not too long ago about how everything has gone up in a greater proportion since I first went into the theater earning my own living professionally in 1946, when theater tickets were $4.80. And life has gone up much more expensively since then than the cost of tickets has.
So many people in our audience, and me too, I don't know what a producer does.
He sits there and waits for trouble.
No,
I've
really?
always said, well, the producer, one, is the resident psychologist, the resident critic, whatever. Except my authors always are trying to keep me happier, and they are psychologists for me. But a producer decides he wants to do a play. He gathers the forces, meaning the creative people, with the author and with the director, and then gathers the machinery, so to speak, the administration, not just raising the money, but going out and getting the various factors. The theater, deciding on playing the Colonial Theater in Boston and not going to Washington.
Yes.
And coming here to this city where audiences teach you a lot about what, because we're here, granted, with a certain amount of trial and error, even though I've had good fortune in this city. You rely on not only the press here, but the audiences as well to test out certain
We love
things.
it that you do, and you made such an
thank you.
interesting comment about the Colonial and the theater, the fact that if it were in Europe,
If Boston were a European city, people would be going on a pilgrimage to see how beautiful this theater, the
is.
Colonial Theater, is. And I think everybody takes it too for granted. I mean, just look at that
It's gorgeous.
ceiling and all.
The work in it.
Yes. And I remember when Ellen Burstyn came here at the same time, she stood on that stage and said, oh, it's so big. And when we left, she said, oh, it's so small and comfortable and
a
intimate.
cozy feeling.